Hopefully everyone's here for the American College of Healthcare Architects Exam Prep Seminar. The American College of Healthcare Architects provides board certification for architects who practice as healthcare specialists. The highly regarded certification provides owners, agencies, and peers with proven expertise and a body of knowledge necessary to excel in this competitive, changing, and specialized field of healthcare architecture. Speakers today will provide you insight and guidance in the process and value in achieving this highly regarded board certification. Join me in introducing Antonio Amadeo, a professional with 19 years dedicated experience in healthcare design, including serving as a director of facilities design and development for Tampa General Hospital. He's both a registered architect and a licensed interior designer. In addition to board certification with American College of Healthcare Architects since 2012, he also holds many other active accreditations in healthcare-related fields. Mr. Amadeo is the CEO President of LDC International, a state of Florida minority business enterprise founded in 2002, providing healthcare architectural and interior design services throughout the state, as well as in Maryland, Virginia, and the District of Columbia.
It's an honor to be here, and I'm here to speak about a subject that I'm very passionate about, which is obtaining the board certification from the American College of Healthcare Architects, which is really the only specialty recognized by the American Institute of Architects as a specialty board certification. The learning objective in today's session is going to be education on the unique building code requirements, the unique programming requirements in healthcare projects, the education on the unique planning requirements for the healthcare projects, and education on the value of a specialty certification to owners and architects in the field of healthcare architecture. I'd like to go briefly through the agenda, the vision, mission, and value proposition of the college, about the college and how it was established and where it is today, and the 3 steps to certification. And lastly, we'll go through a sample exam to brief you on some of the types of questions and knowledge required. On the vision, mission, and value proposition, the American College of Healthcare Architects assists to enhance the performance of the healthcare architecture through certification, education, leadership, and collaboration. Provide recognition for an advanced level of expertise and competence. The vision, transforming healthcare through better built environments. That's what we do. On the mission, to distinguish healthcare architects through certification, experience, and rigorous standards. The ACHA offers value to the certificate holders, the healthcare providers, and prospective certificate holders. This is accomplished through credentialing, showing their advanced competency and affiliation to the most experienced healthcare architects. And it's also a way to differentiate themselves from non-certified architects. There are a lot of architects who practice architecture, but this really shows that you can walk the talk when you go through this process and have this credential. The advanced learning opportunities and teaching opportunities are unique. There's every summer, the college has a seminar which is called the Summer Leadership Program, and it's in conjunction with the Academy of Architectural Health, and is one of the most incredible and comprehensive conferences that I have ever had the opportunity to attend. So that's available to the certificate holders. Again, another way to stay current with continuing education, which is key. Speaking opportunities and writing through our various publications and access to publications, and promotion of your credential through the directory and, of course, the community. The college offers healthcare providers with experience, which is independently certified architects specialists. Again, is the only board certification. Imagine you would want to go to a board certified physician on a particular specialty as you seek medical health. So it's the same thing for owners and healthcare systems. They would like to go, and they often go to the specialists in the field. Confidence that the certified healthcare architects know the current issues and the trends on regulatory requirements that are constantly changing. Again, a team member that speaks their language as you are in front of your clients, and sometimes the CEOs and CFOs and other administration staff of the hospitals, you understand their requirements and what their issues are, so you're better able to connect with them. Access to educational opportunities, and qualified architects that offer informed solution. Again, best practices and benchmarking through the experience that the certificate holder offer to the healthcare providers. Now to the prospective certificate holders, we talked about how does that make you different. So differentiation with their architectural practice amongst the peers. You also have career opportunities that are enhanced through your specialization. If you're in a firm and you are seeking to advance yourself or to be placed in projects that have a level of interest to you, this certification will enable you to say, you know, I'm credentialed and I can be on the top of the list. Access to the most up-to-date educational resources, and access to a wide and deep network of experts. The college has a vast network of experts that are available to the certificate holders as a community. Should there be a question or an issue, you have access to those experts. In 2013, we started a mentorship and encouragement process through certification, so that's available to you. I have two professionals that I recently had the opportunity to coach and mentor. One of them, amazingly enough, was a physician architect. She came from Canada, and she saw the value of the certification through the college, and she wanted to go ahead and have that. So the exam is very difficult, and we'll go through the different topics to get ready for it. But we offer the mentorship because I think it's important to have some guidance and support. So that's available to you. Again, speaking and writing engagements that occasionally are available, and the college will ask for volunteers to speak and write on different publications and venues. And lastly, a community of specialized experts. Now, about the college. It started in 1999, and it was founded by like-minded fellows that were interested in enhancing and promoting the specialty in healthcare. And throughout the years, it has grown to the point that in 2010, the college had a value proposition that got refined, and it was recognized by the AIA through the credentialing programs. Again, there's I spoke about the Joint Summer Leadership Summit, and that's a magnificent event for the value, for the venue, and for the type of professionals and experts that present at that conference. It's one of the most thought after and condensed and successful conferences. About the college, 441 certified members, of which 50 are fellows, 30 emeritus, and 51 are candidates that are going through the program. This is available to U.S. and Canadian architects. As you can see, Florida is a strong leader in certificates, and certificates across the United States and Canada are part of the college. Now, I will yield to Valerie for the steps on the certification process. And go ahead.
Okay. So the first thing is you have to be a licensed architect. You have to have had your license for at least 3 years, and be practicing in the US or Canada. That's kind of a baseline, and you have to be in good standing. The next thing is experience. So you have to demonstrate that you've had 6,000 hours in the last 5 years, and they do that based on review of your projects. So you don't have to log time like you do for the ARE, but you do have to have a portfolio that demonstrates that you're more than half time in healthcare architecture. And once you meet these minimum qualifications, you can apply for the candidate program. The candidate program, which he mentioned, was started in 2013, and its main thing is to provide mentorship and to help you all through this process. You do get to receive the mailings and get on some of the mailing lists, which we all love, but it is only $25 a year, and it's well worth it just for the mentorship opportunities and the people that you connect with. Then the application itself comes, and the application process is almost as difficult as the exam. My application, I know, is about 50 pages, and you know, there's some standard just fill in the blank kind of pages about your qualifications, a copy of your license, you know, some of the basic low-lying fruit. You have to have 3 letters of recommendation from firms or from architects that are not at your firm. So I've known people that had problems with that if they've been in the same firm for 20 years. They don't have a lot of contacts outside of their firm. The other thing is 3 letters of reference from clients, from healthcare providers that you've worked with. And then you have to submit a portfolio of your work. And this is just showing you the updated website, which is healtharchitects.org. If you look under the certification button on that, there's a lot of really great resources. There's the application and the study materials itself. There's some examples of other people's portfolios. I think there's 4 different examples, and they're the complete portfolio that you can see what someone has turned in and gotten through. The names are redacted, so you can't make fun of your colleagues, but the portfolios are there for you to look at. And this is also how you would get into the candidate program. So how they determine that you've done the 6,000 hours in the last 5 years is you give them a project table that shows all of the projects that you've completed in the last 5 years. And it has to have, you know, the date, the project cost, a contact for the client, and this is really how they determine that you've had the experience rather than actually logging hours. Then the 3 letters from the architects, and then 3 letters from the clients. And they have to be pretty specific in their wording. They have to say that I believe that Joe is qualified to be a member of the Board of Health, or the ACHA. Which is kind of a daunting thing, especially as a young architect, to go to the client and say, you know, I worked with you, can you give me this letter? So, you know, putting together a draft letter and going and saying, you know, this is what I think it should say, you can modify and then give it back to me, is how I got my letters. Still a little bit of a daunting process, but you know, it's definitely worth it. Then you have the portfolio requirement, and they ask for 3 to 9 projects that are from the last 5 years. I submitted 5, just because it's average, and if they didn't like one, I figured I still had some backups. But again, these projects, the submittal is not just the marketing material that your people send to prospective clients. It has to be specific for this submission. In that submission, they say 4 pages maximum per project. The first page is going to have a description of the project, a description of your role on the project, and it's going to talk about sort of problems and how those problems were solved in the course of this project. They again have to be signed at the bottom by either the architect on the project or the client, stating that yes, in fact, this was your role on this project.
I don't understand that. So what architect signed?
Well, if there was another architect working on it with you, you know, some of mine, it was the project manager because I was the PA on the project. So,
Okay. Somebody's attesting to the fact that this was actually built.
correct. So then you compile,
Probably a licensed individual is what you're saying.
it has to be a licensed individual if not the client.
Got it.
So then you put together all of this information, and it's an 8.5 by 11 format, also the PDF files, and you know, they make you take your picture for the test, and send it all in with a $400 fee. So the deadline for doing this, every year there's a 1-month window to take this exam. It's July. So you can take it any day in the month of July. In order to apply for the July date, so July 2017, you can apply. I always try to get people to do the early bird, which is February 1st, because then, you know, if something's wrong with your application, you have a chance to then revise and get in for the April 1st. And it does take a while to compile the material that we talked about. So you got all your stuff together, you send it in, they tell you, great, now you're allowed to take the test. So in terms of the exam, this is the candidate handbook. This is, right now on the website, is still the 2016. The 2017 will be coming out shortly. But you can download this. There are some practice questions. That's where the application are. It's a lot of good material. It includes some things that they tell you is where you should look for study material. You can also take the practice exam through the website, and that's it's a $50 fee, but it's totally worth it because you get an idea of the questions. And we'll go through a couple of the questions shortly, but the practice exam really tests where you are in the process. And then, of course, contacting with a mentor. I did not take advantage of the mentorship program. In hindsight, I wish I would have more. So, you know, people like Antonio are doing great in sort of giving you what their experience is. And it's really a valuable thing for $25 a year. That's a great bet. So some of the resources, the study material that they tell you to look at, you know, are kind of the basics in our profession. The FGI, the NFPA. It's the basics, but at the same time, what I figured out is I can memorize those books. I have to know how to apply it. That's the whole thing that this certification gives to people, because anybody can memorize a book, but you have to know how to apply it to our profession and what it actually does to the building. Same way, the ADA, the Joint Commission. I read all of these books preparing. I'm not sure how much it really helped, you know. It was really just about experience and about knowing how to apply these things.
You just really need to fall asleep well.
There you go. So the exam format is 120 multiple choice questions. There are 20 scattered throughout that are not scored. It is multiple choice. There's no reason to leave anything blank. There's no penalty if you get something wrong. It's just how many do you get right out of the 100 questions. You're given 2.5 hours, and there's a variety of testing centers all over the place, so you can schedule your time and do it. And then you get the results 30 days after the testing window closes. So if you take the test early July versus you take the test the end of July, either way, you're going to get your results the end of August. So there's the exam questions are separated into sort of categories. And there are some recall questions. Those are the memorization ones. I didn't find that there was a lot of those. Most of them were sort of the application questions and the analysis questions. Because you have to not only know what the FGI says, but how to apply that to a project. They divide the test questions into these 4 categories. And then when you get your test results, they'll actually tell you how well you did in each of the categories. I know my test results, I did okay in pre-design and design because that's what I do every day. But the first thing, the forces of the business of healthcare, that's where they're talking about, you know, the ACA and reimbursements and things that I don't deal with every day. So I had a lot of trouble with that section compared to the others. They give us some exam taking tips. We've all gone through the exams like this, so, you know, answer everything, read them carefully. There's a lot of things where there's good answers and then there's the best answer, and they just want the best answer. So you've got to figure that out in your head a lot of times. And they say don't rely solely on your experience and make sure that it's, you know, that project might have been an anomaly, so think of things more holistically. And, you know, they're here to help. The website is a great resource, or you can contact them if you have any questions.
There's a wealth of knowledge that you have acquired throughout your career and your experience, but there's also a body of knowledge that it's in different publications. And going back to how you were doing a lot great with the pre-design portion of it, I wasn't. I struggled in planning and programming, and my scores were maybe 50 or 60% in those areas where the other parts, which is what I do more of the, you know, they were much better. So I then tried to find out what other publications I could use to improve on the planning and the programming, and the resource that I found was a book called Space Med by Cynthia Hayworth. That speaks about grossing factors and other specialty modalities in the planning. Where I was really strong in technology and equipment changeouts in clinics, I wasn't strong in the particular aspects of programming a large facility, because that's what I didn't do that part. So oncology, women's health, all that was in that book. So that helped me out quite a bit. Also on the exam questions, and we're going to go through that as well, is you have to be able to given the amount of information and data that we have today on so many issues, you have to advise your client or advise a project on the best alternatives amongst the many. So that the exam is structured somewhat like that. So you have to be able to parse out what is not appropriate or least appropriate and give that answer. And I'm going to give you an example of a situation. If you're given a budget by a contractor, let's say you're doing an imaging room in a clinic. Let's say you're doing a CT scan room, and the budget for the renovation is $60,000, and the completion date is short of 3 months, and you're going to be working on 2,000 square feet. So what is wrong with that equation? What is wrong with that? Obviously, you cannot accomplish a CT scan replacement for $60,000. And I'm not saying, I'm just giving you a very, very extreme approach, but those are the issues. Also, when you're doing with, going back to my experience, doing an MRI or a heavy piece of equipment, and when you're doing above the first or second story, you have to look at the structural elements. So they'll ask you questions about what is that? How is that affecting the project and the schedule? And what are the key issues that you need to be aware of? So I wanted to open the floor for any questions, and I'm be glad to expand on anything that we haven't before we go to the test, or do you want me to go to the test? Sir?
I'll ask the basic question, why did you fail the test?
Take it again.
You can. I took it several times, and I'll tell you why I took it several times. Because it was really important to me. It was really important to be able to have that certification, and in hindsight, I'm a better healthcare architect for having gone through that process. Because what I had to go through and brush up and pick up and learn that I didn't have before, now I do have it. So, but you have. Where before you had, I think, 4 or 5 times to take it, now you have a window of 5 years. There's an eligibility period based on your application. Additional questions?
Can you repeat that publication?
Thinsia Hayworth Space Med. And it's a publication. I'm not endorsing or saying that you must have it, but it's a good publication to have in any office. For planning purposes, because again, the factors I use, the calculations, and there's some questions in the test about throughput and what makes everything is about the patient experience. Everything is about efficiency. So you have to be able to speak to that. And those are the questions. Some of the questions come up on the exam to address throughput and patient experience. A little bit of EDAC is also involved in that, and a little bit of history. As to the different types of planning shapes for healthcare facilities, double loaded corridors, even all the way out to Nightingale, and a little bit of that sometimes pops up. And I think some of that. And of course, adjacencies, what is the adjacency between the different departments and what makes sense, imaging next to the ED and things like that. You must know that.
First question, when considering the design for information systems in an inpatient or outpatient healthcare project, the acronym EMR refers to, obviously B, electronic medical records.
But this speaks to acronyms, and so this is an example of an acronym you have to be aware of.
Which of the following design criteria is least important for a pediatric critical care unit?
Visibility of a patient, ability to accommodate patient families, access to patient toilets, and ability to accommodate crisis interventions. The least important.
And this is one of those things you never find that in the FGI guidelines, or it's more of a practice than something that's going to be written in a book.
Adjacencies, the frozen section, who said the frozen section component of a lab is often located in close proximity to which of the following? Surgery, of course. Okay, this is a very smart group.
Yes. So according to the Life Safety Code, which of the following conditions is not required to allow occupancy of new construction or any existing building that is in violation of the Life Safety Code?
A plan of correction has been approved. A fire watch has been instituted. The occupancy classification remains the same, or no serious life safety hazards exist as judged by the AHJ. Fire watch. Yeah, and that's in the NFPA. So that's really, because a fire watch has, typically a fire watch is instituted when there's some deficiencies in the life safety that such as having sprinklers offline for so many hours. But this is a question that comes from the NFPA. It's not required.
There are times you can use a fire watch during construction to allow things to go on when you have violations. But occupy something.
Well, to occupy, no hazards exist. The occupancy doesn't change, because when you change occupancies, a lot of other things, and the plan for correction has been approved, so you have time to fix things.
Question 5, the emergency department staff have stated that they do not have sufficient space as evidenced by patients and equipment located in the corridor. The architect should first
Review volume and capacity data, study expansion options, propose fast-track care unit, assess clinical decision unit length of stay. Okay? Okay. Of course, you always have to review data. Now, here's a sample question about, you have to pick a few of these. In the programming analysis of spaces in the hospital, which of the following conditions present the most significant operational challenges? Surgery separated from the SICU, C-section separated from OB unit, pathology separated from surgery, emergency separated from imaging. Which of these present the most significant operational challenges? B. Right, B. Of course, because you have, if you separate the surgery from ICU, that's a lot of steps and corridors you have to go through. Again, C-section from OB. And pathology separated from surgery is, you can always have a courier. Okay.
A common departmental adjacency relationships would be to locate, a clinical decision unit adjacent to which of the following departments?
Okay. Smart.
And that's like he was mentioning, one of the adjacencies.
You need to know what a CDU is. So, that's another acronym. Which is one of the most dynamic components of staffing a 125-bed suburban community hospital due to cyclical demand? Intensive care, emergency, ambulatory surgery, or imaging? This is a question about staffing and
That's not a very good question.
B, because you don't know when things are going to happen.
Everyone knows it's cyclical, so they-
Right. So there you all can pass this exam in no time. When designing a rural critical access hospital, which of the following is the most important aspect of the plan? Efficient use of professional staff, lower maintenance costs, outpatient access, helipad location on site. Any takes? No, again, efficient use of a professional staff, because in the critical access hospitals, those are that are also 25 beds, and so again, staffing is a concern.
So we get it.
Per the guidelines, negative air pressure is found in which of the following rooms? Emergency triage, emergency waiting, operating room, or patient toilets? Smart
Right.
group?
Right. Of course, this one you can quickly rule out 3 because the ORs have to be positive.
Still have exhaust work.
Engineering.
The mechanical engineer in the room.
Yes. And I always say everything in a hospital is about the MEP, so thank you for coming. We depend on you quite a bit.
Okay, number 11, nuclear imaging scans typically allow observation of which of the following? Brain activity through electronic,
Physiological monitoring.
ambulatory EKG recording over 24-hour period, EEG and EKG monitoring via both video and audio, or cardiovascular performance through monitoring and SPECT.
SPECT.
D.
Vibration considerations must be usually considered in ceiling-mounted equipment for which type of surgery? Okay.
This is a very smart group.
And this one is also, what is the maximum allowable for a small compartment in a hospital? You know, that was, I think in the, at some point in the past evaluation of the guidelines, they wanted to, or a proposal was put forth to increase the compartment to 40-something thousand, but that was on account of the other issues that we have with adjacencies in space, and that was turned down by the NFPA folks.
An existing two-story hospital is adding more patient beds. When preparing an analysis to determine whether to expand vertically or horizontally, which of the following should be done first? So, evaluate potential disruptions, confirm existing structural capacity, determine exiting requirements, or analyzing sharing of utility service. Obviously, this is one of those where they're all good answers, but there is definitely one best answer.
Right.
And I think
If you can't hold the structure, then you can't go forward. At the completion of a large project to provide inpatient beds, all the final documents have been collected. The air balance for bone marrow transplant patient rooms is neutral with 12 air changes per hour. The architect should instruct the contractor to A, decrease air changes, B, adjust for positive air balance, C, adjust for negative air balance, and D, increase air changes. Again, you know your and then some of these questions will throw in additional information that is not perhaps related, but they'll add more than what the answer calls for. And I think that's
And I think you guys got 100%. So.
yes. And of course, the continuing education requirements for the American College of Architects is quite important, and so you must have 12 related units per year. And but the positive side is that when you pass the exam, you get 20 and 1, so you can forego any other conferences on that account. And again, the Summer Leadership Luncheon in Chicago offers other opportunities. And there's a $550 per year recertification, which in my opinion is well worth it. And, you know, as I mentioned, ACHA is not a membership organization. You cannot just join in. So it's a board certification that is rigorous, and a group of peers evaluates your application, and you must pass, you know, the test. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or things that you would like for us to expand? And if you would like to have a LU, please make sure that you pick one of these and give them to me or fill them out. Yes, sir.
Where do you test at? Multiple testing centers?
Yeah, they're AMP, I believe it is, testing centers. So I know you put in your zip code and they'll tell you how many are within whatever. I think mine was like in a tax broker's office, that it was like a back room, but it's like a lot of those tests where it's just a testing center.
And my recommendation.
We all got 100, but what's the testing score?
It varies, and it could be 71, 72, 73, depending on the exam. And my score was 75. I've only known one person that has had an 88. So it's a difficult test.
It is very difficult.
Yes. Anything else? Thank you for your attendance tonight,
Thank
and
you.
let us know if we can answer any questions in the future.